The elevator doors opened on my floor and there he sat with another woman on his lap. She glanced at me, smirked with contempt and sneered, "Is that your housemaid?" He went rigid, let her slip to the floor and began stammering wildly. In that instant, I knew my revenge would be far more delicious than I ever expected. My name is Ella Garrison, and I'm a 29-year-old third-grade teacher in Savannah, Georgia. For 2 years, I was with Colby Brennan, a 31-year-old landscape architect. Colby came from one of those old Southern families, you know the kind, portraits in the Historical Society, opinions on everything from proper silverware to who you marry. We lived separately because, according to his grandmother, Dawn Eugenia, respectable people wait until marriage. And trust me, when Dawn Eugenia spoke, the whole family jumped. Her approval was everything to Colby, his multi-million-dollar inherited historical home depended on it. Which, looking back, made what happened next absolutely perfect. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I left school around 5:30, buzzing with anticipation. Colby and I had reservations at the Grey, this super fancy restaurant where you basically needed connections just to get a table. I was wearing my favorite navy dress, the one Colby said made me look like Jackie Kennedy. And for once, I'd actually blown out my hair instead of just throwing it in my usual teacher bun. I felt good. I felt beautiful. I parked, took the elevator up to the 8th floor where his firm occupied the entire level, and stepped out into the corridor. That's when I saw them. There he was, my Colby, pressing a woman against the wall right outside his office door. She was a redhead, poured into a skin-tight crimson dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Her arms were wrapped around his neck, his hands were on her waist, and they were going at it like hormonal teenagers at prom. My world just stopped. I stood there, frozen. My purse, still dangling from my shoulder, felt impossibly heavy. I just watched, numb, as the man I'd spent 2 years with, the man I was supposed to have dinner with, devoured another woman's face a mere 15 feet away. She saw me first. The redhead pulled back slightly, caught my eye over Colby's shoulder, and smiled. Not embarrassed. Not guilty. She just smiled. Like she'd won something. Then, she looked straight at me, her voice dripping with that syrupy sweet Georgia drawl, and said, "Oh, honey, are you from the cleaning service? We're going to need you to come back in about an hour. We're occupied right now." The cleaning service, can you believe the audacity? The man I'd spent 2 years building a life with, whose grandmother's birthday dinners I'd attended, whose family drama I'd listened to, whose dry cleaning I'd just picked up last Tuesday because he was too busy, he didn't even correct her. Not a word. Colby finally turned, saw me, and his face went absolutely white. The color drained from him like he'd seen a ghost. The redhead finally looked confused, glancing between us. And then, it was like gravity remembered she existed. She stumbled backward, almost twisting an ankle in her ridiculous designer heels. "Ella," Colby stammered, his voice cracking like a 13-year-old. This isn't, she's just the cleaning lady," I finished for him, my voice surprisingly, unnervingly calm. Because, apparently, that's exactly what she thought I was. The redhead's face finally registered the absolute train wreck unfolding. She straightened her dress, snatched her purse from the floor where it had fallen, and actually had the nerve to look annoyed. "Colby, you said you were single." "I'll call you." He actually stammered back to her, I will call you." It was possibly the worst thing he could have said in that moment. She clicked away down the hallway towards the elevator, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and my shattered dignity. I watched her go, then turned back to Colby. He was sweating through his expensive shirt, despite the office AC. "Ella, please, let me explain." "Save it," I said, a cold clarity washing over me. I walked straight to the elevator, my heels clicking a steady rhythm against the polished floor. He followed, panicking, trying to grab my arm. I yanked it away. "Don't touch me." "It's not what you think, really," he pleaded. "Oh, really, Colby?" I shot back. Because what I think is that I just watched you make out with a woman who thought I was your cleaning lady, and you didn't even bother to correct her. The elevator arrived. I stepped in. He tried to follow, but I held up my hand, stopping him dead. Don't. The doors closed, leaving his devastated, desperate face behind me. My phone started ringing before I even reached my car. Colby. I declined. It rang again, immediately. Declined. By the time I pulled out of the parking garage, I had 12 missed calls. I drove home to my small apartment in the Victorian district. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. And right then, that felt incredibly important. I changed into sweatpants, poured myself a very large glass of wine, and finally looked at my phone. 43 missed calls, 17 text messages. Each one more desperate than the last. Please answer. I can explain everything. She means nothing. I love you. Please don't do this. I didn't block his number. Not yet. I wanted him to think I might respond. Might forgive. Might give him another chance. Hope, I've found, makes people sloppy. Instead, I finished my wine, poured another glass, and got curious. It took me exactly 20 minutes to figure out who she was. Instagram is a beautiful, beautiful thing when you're motivated. Her name was Bellamy. No last name on her profile, just Bellamy's Southern charm. She was a luxury lifestyle and interior design influencer with 48,000 followers. Her feed was full of gorgeous rooms, styled tablescapes, and, wait. I scrolled back. 4 months of posts. That garden. Design? Colby's work. I recognized the stone pathway pattern he'd been obsessing over. That outdoor living space? His signature style with the curved built-in seating. That pool area? That was literally the Henderson project he'd shown me last month. She was using his designs to build her influencer career. And based on her captions, my boyfriend and I designed the space together, spending quality time with my love planning our dream home. She'd been telling her followers they were a couple. For 4 months. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Ella, please. I'm using a different number. I'm so sorry. Can we please talk? I'll come to you. This was a huge mistake. I stared at the message for a long moment. I thought about Don Eugenia's Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. The annual event where the entire Brennan clan gathered, aunts, uncles, cousins, family, friends. At least 40 people crammed into that mansion for sweet tea, bourbon, and enough Southern propriety to choke a horse. And then, I smiled. I typed back, okay, but not tonight. I need time to process. Let's talk at your grandmother's Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'll be there. His response was immediate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you so much. I'll make this right. I promise. Sure, he would. I had less than 24 hours to prepare. And in the South, revenge isn't just a dish served cold. It's served on the good china, in front of witnesses, with homemade pie for dessert. Sometimes the best revenge doesn't need weeks of planning. It just needs one night, one determined woman, and a matriarch who values truth over family loyalty. I didn't sleep much. Instead, I built my case like I was preparing a lesson plan for the world's most important third-grade presentation on why Colby Brennan was trash. By 3 a.m., I had screenshots, organized chronologically, July through November. For solid months of Bellamy posting Colby's work, calling him her boyfriend. I had testimonials from her followers. I had dates, times, and enough evidence to convince anyone with functioning brain cells that this wasn't a misunderstanding. I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m. and woke up at 7 on Thanksgiving morning with a mission. First priority, look absolutely devastating. Not revenge dress devastating, that's too obvious. I needed to look like the kind of woman who belongs in a historical mansion. The kind Don Eugenia would want in her family. Classy. Elegant. Untouchable. By 8 a.m., I was showered, caffeinated, and heading to Broughton Street. Yes, some stores open early during Thanksgiving week. Capitalism waits for no holiday. I found a boutique that catered to the Savannah Society crowd. The kind of place where saleswomen say things like, "That's very you, darling," while secretly judging your credit limit. I found it in 15 minutes. Emerald green, perfectly tailored. Elegant enough for a cathedral, but striking enough to make Colby remember exactly what he'd lost. The salesperson, a woman named Patricia, who absolutely understood the assignment when I said, "I need to look like I've already won," even threw in a discount because, apparently, my face told the whole story. 9:30 a.m. I was at the Coffee Fox on Bull Street with my iPad, organizing my presentation. The barista, a college student with purple hair and a name tag that read Sage, brought my lavender latte and lingered. "You look like you're plotting something," she said. "Is it that obvious?" I asked. "Honey, I've worked here 3 years. I know the look of a woman preparing to destroy someone's life. Is it the redhead who's always here taking photos?" I looked up, surprised. "You know her? Bellamy?" "Oh, yeah. She's here constantly, always with some guy, always talking loud enough for the whole cafe to hear about her boyfriend, the architect. Makes everyone her captive audience while she stages the perfect Instagram shot." Sage rolled her eyes. "She literally makes him rearrange his schedule so the lighting is right for her posts. The guy always looks like he'd rather be anywhere else." "Her boyfriend," I repeated, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. She specifically calls him that every single time. "My boyfriend designed this. My boyfriend and I are planning our dream home. My boyfriend is taking me to Charleston this weekend." Girl doesn't shut up about him. I showed Sage a photo of Colby from my phone, us at last month's fall festival, laughing at the pumpkin patch. Her jaw dropped. "That's your boyfriend? As of last night?" "Oh, honey," Sage said, her expression softening. "Bellamy has been bringing him here every Tuesday and Thursday for months. She always introduces him as her boyfriend to literally everyone. Last week, she was showing someone her Pinterest board for their future wedding. I took notes. Actual notes. Tuesday and Thursday. 4 months. Pinterest wedding boards. What time today do you need to ruin someone's life?" Sage asked, leaning in conspiratorially. "Because I'm off at noon, and I kind of want updates." 3 p.m. His grandmother's Thanksgiving dinner. Legendary. "I'm manifesting your success." By 10:30, I was at Colby's office building. Marcus, the security guard, was working the holiday shift and looked surprised to see me. "Miss Ella, you okay? Haven't seen you since yesterday." Word travels fast in an 8-floor building. "Marcus, can I ask you something? That woman who was with Colby yesterday, the redhead in the red dress, has she been here before?" His face told me everything before he spoke. "Miss Ella, I probably shouldn't." "Please, Marcus. I just need to know the truth." He sighed, looked around, then gestured me to his desk. He pulled up the visitor log on his computer. "I keep digital records. Building policy." There it was. Bellamy Richardson, signed in every Tuesday and Thursday evening for the past 4 months. Always between 6 and 8 p.m. Always visiting Brennan Architecture, floor 8. "I thought she was a client," Marcus said quietly. "Mr. Colby always seemed uncomfortable when she was here, but she was always very friendly, very chatty. Told me once they were planning to get engaged soon." "She told you that last month?" "Said she was looking at rings." Wanted my opinion on styles. I said congratulations. Thought you two had. He stopped, realization dawning. Oh no, Miss Ella. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It's not your fault, Marcus. I took photos of the screen with my phone. Thank you for being honest. Whatever you're planning, he said as I left, I hope he deserves it. By 11, I was back home, uploading everything to my iPad. I created a presentation that would make my principal proud. Title slide. Chronological evidence. Supporting testimony. Photographic proof. I even made it aesthetically pleasing, because if you're going to destroy someone's life, you might as well do it with good design. My phone had been buzzing all morning. Colby's messages went from hopeful to anxious. Good morning, beautiful. Thank you for giving me another chance. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you today. Should I pick you up? We can arrive together. Then, Ella, are you okay? You're not answering. Please tell me you're still coming. I'm freaking out. Please respond. At noon, I finally replied. See you at 3 o'clock. Don't be late. His relief was immediate. Thank you. I love you. Everything will be perfect. I promise. Perfect. Right. I spent the afternoon getting ready with the kind of careful precision usually reserved for surgical procedures. Hair in a classic low bun. Makeup natural but flawless. My grandmother's pearl earrings. Simple black heels. The green dress fit like it was custom-made for public vindication. At 2:15, I loaded my iPad into a tasteful gift bag, the kind you'd use for bringing wine to a dinner party. Except instead of wine, I was bringing evidence of infidelity, betrayal, and 4 months of lies. At 2:30, I checked my reflection one final time. I looked like the kind of woman Don Eugenia would proudly introduce to her bridge club. I looked like I belonged. At 2:45, I parked on Bull Street and walked up to the mansion. The front door was already open. Family members streamed in with covered dishes and wine bottles. I could hear the chatter, smell the turkey, feel the warmth of a family gathering. Colby was waiting on the veranda, looking like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw me, he practically ran down the steps. Ella! God, you look beautiful. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me another chance. I love you so much. Where's your grandmother? I asked pleasantly. Inside, greeting everyone. Ella, please, can we talk privately first? No need, I said, patting his arm gently. Let's go inside. I don't want to miss anything. His relief was almost sad to watch. He actually thought I'd forgiven him. He actually believed we were going to sweep this under the expensive Persian rug and move on with our lives. Men are adorable when they're delusional. I walked into that house like I owned it. I hugged Miss Catherine, complimented the table settings, and helped carry dishes to the dining room. I was charming. Warm. Helpful. The perfect Southern girlfriend. Colby's family adored me. Don Eugenia herself took my hand and said, Ella, dear, you look radiant. Colby is a lucky man. Thank you, Don Eugenia, I said sweetly. I'm feeling very grateful today. Colby visibly relaxed. His shoulders dropped. His smile returned, and he started actually enjoying himself. He introduced me to cousins I hadn't met yet. Brought me bourbon. Kept touching my arm like he couldn't believe his luck. Dinner was magnificent. Turkey, ham, cornbread dressing, collard greens, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, rolls, and enough desserts to feed General Sherman's army. I ate, laughed at family stories, and complimented everything. At 6:25, the dishes were cleared, and Dawn Eugenia stood at the head of the table with her crystal glass of bourbon. "Family," she announced, her voice carrying that particular authority that only 83 years of being obeyed can create. "It's time for our gratitude circle." 42 people settled into their seats around the extended dining table and overflow seating in the adjoining parlor. Dawn Eugenia always started with the youngest and worked her way through the family, calling on each person individually. I was near the end of the circle, with Colby speaking just after me. I had timed this perfectly. Little Emma stood up first, clutching her stuffed turkey, and announced she was grateful for her new puppy, biscuit, and Halloween candy. Everyone applauded politely. Dawn Eugenia smiled with genuine warmth, the kind reserved exclusively for small children and people who'd never disappointed her. One by one, family members stood. Uncle Bernard was grateful for his promotion at the law firm. Aunt Lucille thanked God for her grandchildren. Cousin Patricia praised her daughter's acceptance to UGA. The circle continued, slowly working its way around the table toward me. I sat perfectly still, my iPad hidden in the decorative gift bag under my chair, my expression serene. Colby kept glancing at me nervously, probably wondering what I'd say. Would I announce our reconciliation publicly? Forgive him? Make some sweet statement about love and second chances? Oh, sweetheart, if only. When Dawn Eugenia called my name, I stood gracefully, smoothing my emerald dress. 42 faces turned toward me expectantly. Colby looked hopeful. Catherine looked pleased. Dawn Eugenia nodded encouragingly. I picked up the gift bag. Dawn Eugenia. Family. Friends, I began, my voice clear and steady. I'm grateful for many things this year. But mostly, I'm grateful for discovering exactly who Colby is before making the biggest mistake of my life. The room went silent. Not polite attention silent. Funeral silent. I reached into the bag and pulled up my iPad, already displaying the first screenshot. Bellamy's Instagram from July, showing Colby's garden design with the caption, "My amazing boyfriend designed the space for our dream home." Last night, I continued, I went to meet Colby at his office for dinner. I found him in the hallway with this woman. I turned the iPad so the people nearest me could see. When she saw me, she asked if I was the cleaning lady. Colby didn't correct her. Catherine gasped. Several cousins leaned forward to see the screen. I swiped to the next image. Another Instagram post from August. Her name is Bellamy Richardson. She's a lifestyle influencer who's been using Colby's architectural designs to build her social media career. For the past 4 months, she's been telling her 48,000 followers that Colby is her boyfriend. Swipe, September post. Here she is claiming they designed this outdoor living space together. Swipe, October post. Here she is talking about their future engagement. I walked slowly around the table, letting people see each screenshot. Dawn Eugenia's face had gone from warm to ice in approximately 4 seconds. Catherine was crying quietly. Uncle Bernard, the lawyer, was leaning in to read the captions. I spent this morning gathering evidence, I continued, my voice never wavering. This is the visitor log from Colby's office building. Bellamy Richardson signed in every Tuesday and Thursday evening for 4 months, after business hours, when the office was mostly empty. I showed the photos of the security logs. Marcus had highlighted Bellamy's name in yellow for me. Bless that man. I also spoke with the barista at the Coffee Fox this morning. I pulled out my phone, reading from my notes. She confirmed that Bellamy brings Colby there every Tuesday and Thursday. Quote, she always introduces him as her boyfriend to literally everyone. Last week, she was showing someone her Pinterest board for their future wedding. The silence was deafening. Colby had gone white. Not pale. White. Like a ghost in a Brooks Brothers shirt. Colby has called and texted me approximately 200 times since last night, I said, returning to my seat and setting the iPad on the table in front of Don Eugenia. He's apologized, begged, promised it meant nothing. He offered to buy me a house. He offered to get me a dog. A few shocked laughs broke the tension. Uncle Bernard muttered something that sounded like, unbelievable. But here's what I realized, I said, looking directly at Don Eugenia. A man who lets another woman call his girlfriend the cleaning lady and doesn't correct her, a man who maintains a months-long relationship with someone who publicly claims to be his partner while dating someone else, that's not a mistake. That's a character flaw. Don Eugenia set down her bourbon glass with a sharp click. So, I'm grateful, I continued, that I discovered this before accepting a proposal, before planning a wedding, before legally tying myself to someone who thinks infidelity is solved with a golden retriever puppy. Dead. Silence. Then, Don Eugenia stood. When she stood, everyone paid attention. The woman was 5'3" and could command a room like General Patton. Colby Brennan, she said, her voice quiet, but carrying that particular quality that made grown men tremble. Is what this young lady says true? Colby opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He tried again. Grandmother, I can explain, is it true? The entire room held its breath. Bellamy, she was a client, and things got complicated, but I never meant, did you maintain a relationship with this woman while dating Ella? It wasn't a relationship. She just answered the question. Yes. Colby finally whispered. Don Eugenia's expression could have frozen the Savannah River. Did you allow this woman to publicly claim you as her boyfriend for 4 months? I didn't know she was posting. Did you meet with her regularly after hours, for months? Colby looked at the floor. Yes, ma'am. And when Ella discovered you with this woman, did you immediately end it and confess everything? Silence. No, ma'am, Colby finally said. Don Eugenia turned to me, and her expression softened just slightly. Ella, dear, I am profoundly sorry that my grandson subjected you to this humiliation. You have conducted yourself with more grace and dignity than he deserves. She turned back to Colby, and the temperature dropped 20 degrees. You have disgraced this family, she said, each word precise and cutting. You have dishonored a young woman who loved you, who attended our family gatherings, who helped in my kitchen, who treated us with respect and kindness. You have lied, cheated, and when caught, you attempted to buy forgiveness rather than earn it. Grandmother, please, I am not finished. Her voice could have cut diamonds. Your grandfather built this family's reputation on integrity. Your father maintained it through honesty. You have squandered it for Instagram attention and whatever else you were getting from this Richardson woman. She gestured to the door. Get out of my house. Colby stared at her. What? You heard me. Get out. You are not welcome at this table, in this home, or in this family's good graces until you demonstrate through actions, not words, that you understand the gravity of what you've done. Grandmother, you can't, I absolutely can. This is my home. That is my door. Use it. Catherine was sobbing now. Uncle Bernard looked like he was enjoying himself immensely. Several cousins had their phones out, probably texting this drama to everyone they knew. Colby looked at his mother. She wouldn't meet his eyes. He looked at me. I smiled pleasantly and took a sip of sweet tea. He stood, his chair scraping loudly, and walked through the dining room, through the parlor, through the foyer, and out the front door. We heard it close behind him. Don Eugenia sat back down, picked up her bourbon, and took a long sip. Ella, dear, she said calmly, would you please pass the pecan pie? I believe we could all use some dessert after that unpleasantness. I passed her the pie. Also, she continued, cutting herself a generous slice, you mentioned earlier that you helped in the kitchen. The cornbread dressing was exceptional. Did you add extra sage? Yes, ma'am, I said. And a touch of thyme. Brilliant. You must give me the measurements. Catherine, dear, stop crying and have some pie. Your son made his choices. Now he'll live with them. The dinner resumed, awkwardly at first, then more naturally as people processed what they'd just witnessed. I ate 2 pieces of pecan pie and 1 piece of sweet potato pie. Uncle Bernard raised his glass to me at one point. Aunt Lucille hugged me on her way out and whispered, "That boy never deserved you." Around 8 p.m., as people were leaving, Dawn Eugenia pulled me aside. "Ella, I want you to know that regardless of my grandson's behavior, you are always welcome in this home. You handled that situation with remarkable composure. Your parents raised you well." "Thank you, Dawn Eugenia. I also want you to know," she continued, her eyes twinkling slightly, "that my grandson Sterling will be home from Atlanta next weekend. He's opening a new restaurant downtown. French Southern Fusion. You remember Sterling, don't you? Handsome boy. Excellent cook. Significantly better judgment than his cousin." I remembered Sterling. Tall, 32, chef's hands, kind smile. We'd talked at last year's Christmas party about his culinary school training in Lyon. "I remember him," I said carefully. "Good. I'll make sure he has your number. A smart, beautiful, patient woman like you shouldn't stay single long, especially when there are better options in the same family tree." She patted my hand and walked away to say goodbye to other guests, leaving me standing there, realizing that Dawn Eugenia had just given me her explicit blessing to date her other grandson. The South doesn't just serve revenge cold, it serves it with pie, witnesses, and a setup for your next relationship. The fallout from Thanksgiving dinner spread through Savannah faster than kudzu in July. By Friday morning, my phone was buzzing with messages from people I hadn't talked to in months. Apparently, at least 6 dinner guests had immediately texted their friends about the Brennan Thanksgiving massacre. And by breakfast, half of Savannah's society knew that Colby had been publicly expelled from his grandmother's home for cheating. The other half knew by lunch. What I didn't expect was how rapidly Dawn Eugenia's disapproval would translate into actual consequences. The woman didn't just control family dynamics, she controlled half the social and business connections in Savannah's historic district. Saturday morning, I got a text from Catherine. "Ella dear, I hope you're doing well. I wanted you to hear this from me. Mother Eugenia has made certain decisions regarding Colby's inheritance. The house on Gaston Street will not be passing to him as planned. She's rewriting her will this week. I thought you should know he's facing real consequences. You deserved better. Catherine." The house on Gaston Street. The restored 1870s Victorian mansion worth roughly $2 million that Colby had been counting on since he was 16. Gone. I texted back, "Thank you for letting me know, Miss Catherine. I hope you're doing okay." Her response, "I'm embarrassed. Honestly, I raised him better than this. Come to brunch next Sunday. Just us girls, no dramatic grandson included." I went to brunch the following Sunday. Catherine, Aunt Lucille, and Dawn Eugenia herself were there at the Collins Quarter, sipping mimosas and acting like I was already family. They asked about my teaching, my apartment, my plans for Christmas break. Not once did they mention Colby, except when Dawn Eugenia said, "That boy is learning that actions have consequences. Perhaps it'll build some character he was apparently lacking." But the inheritance was just the beginning. The Monday after Thanksgiving, Colby's professional life started crumbling. Turns out, when you're a landscape architect in a city like Savannah, your client base is heavily dependent on society connections. And when the most influential society matriarch in town publicly disowns you at Thanksgiving dinner, people notice. I heard through Marcus, who texted me updates because apparently, we were friends now, that 3 major clients had cancelled their contracts with Colby's firm by Tuesday. All 3 were friends of Dawn Eugenia. One was her bridge partner. Another attended her church. The third was married to her late husband's former law partner. Man looks like he aged 10 years, Marcus texted. Hasn't shaved, looks rough. Wednesday, I ran into Uncle Bernard downtown. He was coming out of his law firm on Broughton Street as I was walking past with coffee. Ella. He waved me over, grinning. I've been hoping to see you. That was the most entertaining Thanksgiving dinner I've attended in 40 years. My wife is still talking about it. I hope I didn't cause too much family drama, I said diplomatically. Drama? That was justice. And between you and me, he leaned in conspiratorially, Colby came to my office yesterday asking if he could contest Mother Eugenia's will changes. I told him, absolutely not. And even if he tried, no judge in Chatham County would rule against that woman. She's legendary. What did he say? He actually cried. 31-year-old man crying in my office about losing a house he never actually owned. Then he asked if I could help him get his clients back. I said, no. He's not my client anymore either. I tried to feel bad. I really did. But the image of Colby crying about consequences was oddly satisfying. Thursday brought the Bellamy situation to its natural conclusion. Someone, and I have my suspicions it was one of the younger cousins at Thanksgiving, had posted about the dinner drama on a Savannah gossip forum. The story went viral locally, and people started identifying Bellamy from the Instagram screenshots that were apparently circulating. Her comment sections exploded. So, which architect boyfriend are we talking about today? Does the wife know about this post? This you claiming someone else's man? By Friday, Bellamy had lost over 15,000 followers. Her engagement rate tanked. Brands started pulling sponsorship deals. She posted a tearful apology video claiming she'd been misled and didn't know he had a girlfriend, which nobody believed because I'd literally been tagged in several of Colby's old Instagram posts. The internet is undefeated. Saturday, 1 week after Thanksgiving, Sterling came home to Savannah. Dawn Eugenia had, true to her word, given him my number. He texted me Thursday evening. Hi, Ella, this is Sterling. My grandmother gave me your number and strongly suggested I ask you to dinner. She's terrifying when she makes suggestions. So, would you like to have dinner with me this weekend? No pressure. Well, some pressure from grandmother, but you know how she is. I laughed out loud reading it. We met Saturday night at his new restaurant, Margot's, named after his late mother. It was in a converted firehouse downtown, all exposed brick and warm lighting. He'd done French Southern fusion. She crab soup with truffle oil, shrimp and grits with beurre blanc, fried chicken with herbes de Provence. I heard about Thanksgiving, he said over wine, his eyes kind. The whole family heard. Actually, the whole city heard. You're legendary now. I didn't mean to cause such a scene, I said, a little self-consciously. Are you kidding? Colby had that coming for years. He's always been entitled. Grandmother spoiled him because he was the oldest grandson, and it went to his head. Sterling paused. I'm sorry that happened to you. You deserved better. I'm getting better, I said, meeting his eyes. He smiled. The man had a devastating smile.